Hello everyone and welcome to the next installment in our Intro to Stone series. Today we're going to be talking about experiencing a healing session with our stone and then considering the possibilities of the healing work we've experienced. So is the stone just going to continue to work with us for physical and emotional and spiritual healing, or are we going to work with the stone in our healing work with other people? So whether this is Reiki or hands-on energy work or in our tarot or oracle card readings that we may be doing for others. However we work as a healer, or even if we don't work as a healer, just for ourselves in that case it would be, considering and discussing with our stone the options that we have for the work that we've started together in this Intro to Stone series. So far in the series we've really been focusing on meditating a lot and with our stone, and especially in the physical sacred space we've created through ritual, but also through the etheric sacred space that we've created through meditation with our stone. So again, this week we are going to be entering into that meditative state, setting up our sacred space, and again, that may include drawing a circle, casting a circle, calling in the elements, calling in the grandmothers, calling in whatever elemental energy or mythological energies we work with to hold and create sacred space for us while we are in this limitless time with our stone. So you may choose to create that sacred space again, and hopefully you have one spot where you're able to do this work and have been able to all along with your stone. So you will create that sacred space again, and then bringing ourselves into the meditative state, so disconnecting from our day, grounding ourselves, getting into that relaxed breathing state, and then journeying to the etheric, energetic, sacred space that we've created to meet with our stone. We can then discuss and ask our stone in what way with this physical healing session like to proceed. And so we'll hear clearly, perhaps the stone, if it's not too big and too heavy, wants to actually be on a certain chakra on our body while we do a meditative experience laying down, perhaps before we go to sleep at night. Maybe the stone just wants to be in energetic space with us while we do a Reiki session on ourselves or a laying on of hands energetically for ourselves. Maybe the stone wants to help us to align our breathing so we stop feeling like we're going to have an anxiety attack or we're in a state of stress, perhaps extreme stress. And so the stone that we've chosen to do this series with is going to help us to slow our breathing down and to consciously breathe. And perhaps the stone wishes to be in our hand while we are aware of our breath. Perhaps the stone wishes for us to hold the stone while we're in certain situations that are causing us a lot of anxiety and we feel uncomfortable in. And so the stone may wish to be present with us for that. So that's an option as well that you might hear while you ask the stone the best way that the stone would like to be present and to help us in a state of physical healing. If we're currently experiencing illness or sickness or dis-ease in our body, the stone will probably, most definitely, wish to aid us in this matter by, again, being present physically on our body for a healing session or very close to our body in our energetic and etheric bodies while we do a healing session for ourselves. And the stone may also help us to get down to the root cause of that, to what's creating a sense for us to have a physical manifestation of something that we've emotionally perhaps been storing in our body for a great deal of time and needs to be released. And the stone will certainly help you to be able to release that emotion. So that might be a way that the stone wishes to help us physically. But either way this week, we're going to enter into a meditative state and discover, whether through vision, feeling, intuiting, just simply knowing what the next step is for us in our healing work with the stone. We're going to retrieve information in that meditation for a healing session for us to perform on ourselves over the next coming week. And this is really not about selfishness, it's about self-care, and it's necessary for us to do. So whatever response you receive, Even if that's simply just sit down for a few minutes and hold, the stone wishes to be held just while you sit and relax and stop being so busy. Whatever answer that you receive and whatever conversation you have with your stone, over the next week, be sure that you allow at least once, preferably twice or 3 times, the healing session that you end up hearing it's necessary for you to receive at this time. Really give yourself that time and allow yourself to experience the healing session with the stone. Trust in the stone. Again, I believe, and the work that I do with stones, is that they're very, very ancient healers. And so all we have to do is really be open and aware, and they're going to do the work with us. So we're not alone in this experience. They're there with us, and they are giving us information and healing us very clearly. We just have to relax enough to hear the messages and intuit them in whichever way we're meant to. So allow yourself to have the healing experience with your stone, preferably 3 times, but at least once over the next week. If it's possible, continue to meditate daily with your stone. And again, all of this work, including the healing session, journal that in your stone book. And write down the continuing conversations you're having with the stone and how you're getting to know your stone. And just your experiences with this stone, because this is a blueprint and a map of your work with this stone. But it's also a way in for you to work with other stones and crystals as they appear and show up in your life. So this stone book can become quite extensive and create and hold a vast amount of knowledge and wisdom from your working with the stones as well, and be really a great reference tool for you in your own work, whether you're a healer or not, for you to take a look at and go back and examine when people come to you with questions or when you know it's time to work with a certain stone again. These stones will be able to come back into our lives when we need them as well, and leave when it is time to leave. So be sure to journal your healing experiences, and then by the end of this next week of work that we're doing with our stone, really journal and, again, enter into a meditative state with the stone and decipher and decide if the stone wishes to just work with you for healing at this time, or if you could then work with the stone for other people's healing as well. So perhaps the stone just wants to be now, instead of just being held in a sacred space in the house, maybe the stone wishes to be present in the center of the home, and so therefore energetically providing healing for the other people in your house if you live with more than one person in the home. It's not just yourself. Perhaps the stone wishes to be present for healing work you're doing on other people, maybe family members or friends, or if you have a practice, maybe the stone wishes to be underneath the table while you're performing energy work on others. Just spend some time journaling and talking with your stone about if the stone wishes to work with other people, and really consider that, because next week we're going to be talking about ways that we can bring that healing work with our stone into a larger sphere than just ourselves. But first of all, we have to have that experience for ourselves, and we have to give ourselves the self-care that it's necessary for us to have in order to take that work outward instead of just inward. There has to be enough of an inward experience for us to then extend that to others. So it's really important this week that you spend time having these healing sessions for yourself. Really, really allow yourself the time to have an energy session with your stone that's physically healing for you. Emotional healing and spiritual healing will come into that, but very important right now that it be a physical healing for you. Whether you have an illness or a disease or not, even if it's just, again, at this time, energetic with a feeling of stress or anxiety, perhaps you're having headaches, that kind of thing. Physical healing with the stone is very important. So allow yourself to have that this week. Be sure to journal about that. And again, continue the meditative conversations with your stone in the etheric sacred space you've created. So if you're feeling that this series really isn't for you, then I really encourage you to take a look at some of the other great stone and crystal series that are available on YouTube. Perhaps that are in a more traditional, this stone means this space, and use this stone for this. So if that feels like it's more of the correct way for you, then please, go and explore those options. I don't want you to feel tethered to a series that's too experiential in a way that you don't align with for working with sacred tools. I am an earth sign, and my experience in this life is really about the sacred around me and the physical manifestation of sacredness through tools. And that's why I work with tarot and oracle cards and stones and crystals in my healing work. And that's really what resonates for me as a healer and as a teacher as well. So that's a huge part of my work with stones, and that's what I am wanting to share with all of you, and not so much the written meanings of stones. And I'm the same way with tarot cards if you follow my tarot and oracle card series. So, if you're feeling that this isn't a series for you, then please feel free to explore other options. And if you are finding that this series is really helpful, then, use this as a jumping off point and explore this with more stones than just one, and explore this with other sacred tools around you. And we will be talking about consecration as we continue in this series with our stones, even though they really don't need to be consecrated, but it's just something that's a very beautiful experience for us. But consecration is an amazingly sacred act and something that's very important to me in my spiritual practice. And so we will be talking about that in this Intro to Stone series, and also in general for all of the sacred tools that we may choose to work with in our spiritual practice. So until next week, please really focus on allowing yourself to have at least one healing session with your stone, and that will include giving yourself the time to have that physical healing session, because it isn't probably, most definitely won't be a 1-minute experience. It's something that you need to devote some time to. So honor yourself and love yourself enough to give yourself that time. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video in the Intro to Stone series. Have a wonderful week, guys.